Hello and welcome to the podcast of our church here at St. John's German Lutheran Parish in Springvale. Today, our English edition.
We are the German Lutheran Church in Southeast Melbourne, where we also speak English, and we wish you a great day and a blessed week.
Our topics are today what changed at our church since we are open, and we will discuss the Black Lives Matter movement.
And an inspirational word from the Bible to encourage, to strengthen, to motivate, to comfort, to lift you up, and to sustain you in the coming hours and days.
We want to talk a little bit about today. So, since the COVID restrictions are a little bit more eased, we can have now up to 20 people at our worship. So, what are the changes? Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Peter?
Yes, so the guidelines, if you remember, are staged in a way that until July, depending on how COVID-19 is developing in the community, that until July we have a staged opening. So now we are practically in a second step or second stage of restriction where we can gather in a number of 20 participants. This will be reviewed, I think, at the end of June, about the 20th or
The 22nd of
the
June.
22nd. After that, there will be probably also another change. But nevertheless, despite the numbers, there are also a couple of adjustments we have to make that are quite or will be quite permanent for at least the next couple of weeks. So despite the number, 20 participants at this point, but afterwards that might change. We have other things we keep in mind. For example, social distancing. In our case, 20 participants are fine. If there will be more, then we have to review how social distancing is possible in our facilities. If we have to get more often together in smaller groups, that's open at this point. In regards to the service on Sunday, from this month, we'll start again with German and English services. Our usual program was that we had on every Sunday a German service at 10 o'clock. And on the second Sunday of the month and on the fourth Sunday of the month, we have also an English service at 11:30. So both will be offered during June. For both, we have to register. Actually, we have to register for every event that will take place at church. It's important to know beforehand how many participants we expect.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's important to register first and to receive a confirmation that it's fine to join. And for us organizing events, we are thoroughly cleaning everything, and that's also a guideline, but also something we think helps, stopping any spread and helps keeping our facility as good shape as possible, where we disinfect before every event and after every event all surfaces that are common that we might touch.
Okay.
At this point, we didn't have any coffee gathering or sharing of food or anything in this regard, and that might be for a couple of weeks like that. And if we have, it's the same regulation. We have to thoroughly disinfect everything. And of course, the encouragement, anyone who feels sick, anyone who might have
like sore throat or even a little cold, please don't attend and don't come.
Exactly. That's something we have to be mindful of. And if we know, do a test, and if we receive a positive outcome, then it's important to inform everyone so that we can contact trace everyone and make sure that that no one was infected. And if so, that we know that as soon as possible, and that will help in the treatment.
Correct. And also have the COVID app on your phone.
Yes, that's a good encouragement. The COVID app will help us in this.
Absolutely. And I have something to say as well about the situation about this church hall. The seating will be completely different. And you can see on some pictures, for example, there are a group of two or only single chairs. So the group of two means that you're not allowed to sit together with your friend or with a family member who lives in a different household. This group of two are only seats for people who live in the same household, correct, Peter?
Yes, yeah.
So I think that's also very important to mention.
With every rules, I strongly encourage everyone to talk about it. No rules are made to help us and not to be enforced by anyone, but to help us in giving us a good possibility to come together and to celebrate in a way that we feel also safe and comfortable. Yes, there might be some questions where we have different opinions, where some of us still feel a little bit reluctant to join a meeting or a group. That's understandable. What we have to do as a group to adhere is to adhere to the official guidelines, and everything beyond that, I would say it's always a personal choice. I don't think
Absolutely.
I would participate in that group. That's fine. And if we know that, we try to keep in contact, to keep in touch in via other means.
Yes, absolutely.
Mentioning the means, team, about the podcast and the online activities, I would say something.
Yes, please.
Maybe you mention our Bible verses and social media activity. I think that's in your hand. What do we do in this regard?
Yes, so that's a good question. So the podcast, we decided actually to still have a German and an English one in the month. So that means in the second week, predominantly we have the German one, and in the fourth week we have the English one. How the alternation is, we will see. We will see, but we definitely have a German and an English one once in a month. So from July, we try to start to do that. And in regards to the daily Losungen or Bible verses in German and English, we hope we can still continuing with it. The daily quotes are maybe not anymore possible, but also when we have, for example, special days, as one of our big topics is our reformable group and session. And when we have, for example, the Green Day in 2020, which we have on the 5th of June, that's very important to mention. And something like this, some special days like that, will be still on our social media platform.
Exactly. We were active on social media and other online means even before the coronavirus impacted our ability to come together. Of course, we learned something from this period, that there are possibilities we should consider to continue, like a video recorded online service. And we are trying now in with volunteers and in our leadership group to figure out how we can facilitate that. Of course, online, for example, an online service will never replace totally the personal engagement you experience being here with at a location with someone else. So we would always see our online activity as complementary to what happens here in person.
Thank you for that, letting me know. And I think what we want to talk about today as well, a little bit, what happening around the world. Next, only, we are in a COVID-19 pandemic, and now we have the situation in the United States, but also with demonstrating and protests around the world, in Europe, also here in Australia. One is planned for the next weekend, which is the Black Lives Matter movement, which you maybe all be aware of, George Floyd. And I think, please, when you have from our side, when you want to talk about it or you feel uncomfortable whatsoever, get in contact with us and speak to Pastor Peter, or let us know what your thoughts are. And yeah, we can absolutely help you and yeah, talk about it.
The political situation in the US is particularly interesting and, of course, saddening. For me personally, especially where violence happens, no matter what the cause for it is, it's saddening. I always hope and feel that there should be a way to find a good solution via in a peaceful way, through discussion, through a peaceful way to raise, the voice and the opinion of those who experience those difficulties. Of course, that's sometimes not easy to do. Sometimes not the easy way to find to do that. But still, I think thinking about the whole situation, coronavirus, and all other social difficulties and problems we encounter worldwide, there is always this challenge to how do we overcome differences, how do we overcome difficulties in a peaceful way.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's maybe something for us as a congregation to keep in mind, to at least, and in any case, pray. I think in prayer we find a good balance and encouragement. We come back to and ask ourselves, where are and what are the ways we can be helpful and work in a peaceful way for understanding.
And also, I remember that you mentioned that a couple of podcasts ago, which is really good. The daily Bible verses, the Losungen, the daily quotes. It's, have a look at it and find the peace and find your inner with it. And that helps too. That leads me to our devotion, Peter. Please, which devotion do you have today for us?
Before I share the devotion, one last thought on this topic. I was speaking on Tuesday night with all our German Lutheran pastors from our North American and Australian group.
Oh, okay.
So those pastors that are sent from the German Lutheran Church in Germany out to the German Lutheran congregations worldwide, especially in Australia and North America, which is one group. Our colleagues from New York and Washington were also there. And it was very worrying and troubling to hear from them how they experience right now the protests, the impact on their congregation members, not just in the recent days, but in general with the whole COVID-19 situation. It's much more widespread in the community. The impact that someone from the congregation got sick, or someone knows or has a friend or a family member who is really struggling, is very present in their daily life. And that reminds us, isn't it, if we feel COVID-19 is not really in our community, you don't see it around, and it feels like we are getting back to a normal life. A good reminder, an important reminder for me to keep the big perspective that there are countries that really struggle with this virus. And of course, this struggle has implications for our relationships, for our social life, the economic, the economic impact. We just heard here in Australia this week the Treasurer's report and the news that Australia is in recessions. And of course, it just leads us to the question, yes, what lies ahead? And I think the verse from Galatians, I was thinking about this morning, might be a good encouragement. In chapter 6, there is this encouragement where Paul says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. A great encouragement. Let us not become weary in doing good. And oftentimes it might feel like that. It's enough, or we don't know how to continue. It's all about caring. And the conclusion, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to our family. John J. Cannon, a pastor from the United Kingdom, I listen to now and then, has this short saying. It's easy to keep in mind. People don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. Christians have this great commission. We all have it, even here in our small congregation at Springvale. Let us not become weary to do good, but always keep doing it. Always find ways and ask ourselves, where is that area where we can make a difference? This is a great commission where we are working, or on which we are working too. We might say it sounds a little bit ambitious, doesn't it? But dear congregation, this is our mission. It's not only the job of a few or of others. And it's important to know, because of the way this is realized, which is by doing good. Jesus sent his disciples out. He sends them out first to Jerusalem, to Judea, to Samaria, and then to the end of the world with this mission: do good to everyone. Now, Jerusalem, in their particular story, is an important place to start. It's the place of their greatest disappointment and their greatest failure. So, where do they have to start? Well, it's right there in front of their house, in front of their relationships. It's right there in Jerusalem where they are at home. So where do we have to start? Where we are, right at the place where we live. We don't have to go out somewhere. The place to start doing good is right in front of you. We are all missionaries, says the Bible, and we don't have to go anywhere but to start in our own families, in our own neighborhoods, right across the street of us. We start in faith, in hope, in love, in caring, because caring for those in our immediate proximity will make a change in their lives. Caring for those outside and for those inside. It should not be only for yourself, not only for those outside or for those few selected, for everyone. And through our faith in Jesus Christ, we are free to do so. We have this godly freedom, free of sin and full of faith. I encourage you this morning, ask yourself, where do you care? Where do you grow weary in your caring and in your sharing? And where did you have the feeling, I saw, but nothing grows? I'm trying to make a difference, but it doesn't seem to happen. Don't grow weary. Keep your motivation to do good, and that will give you courage in today and coming weeks. I invite you that pray together. I have a short prayer I would like to share with you. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you are merciful and full of grace. And through your work of redemption, we are made whole again. We have peace in you and through your Son, Jesus Christ. And we pray, Lord, forgive our ways of self-focus. Draw us again to the source of new life. Raise us up in uncommon hope and love, and give us the strength and the endurance to make a difference in our own life, in the lives of our neighbors, of our family members. Let us do good to anyone, everywhere. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Peter, for these beautiful words. As always, thank you for listening and sharing. Have a wonderful week with your family, friends, and loved ones. And we look forward to welcoming you again next week, this time again in German. Before we go, do you have a topic or do you want to join us? Please get in contact with us. We are looking forward to getting your help and input. Bye bye. Take care till then.